Hello, I am Crystal Hawkins. I am interviewing Ms. Karen Fears on behalf of the Veterans History Project for Prince George's Community College in cooperation with the Office of Congresswoman Donna L. Edwards and the Library of Congress. Today's date is September 26, 2014. We are located in the television studios of Prince George's Community College in Largo, Maryland. I've recently met Mrs. Fears. Included in the room is myself, Ms. Fears, and the camera operators, Donna Stevens, Damian Maynard, and Zachary Goldsmith. The project is being coordinated by Professors Teresa Dowell-Vest, Louis Roden, and Dr. Sherelle Williams. The purpose of this interview is to gain insight into the life of United States military veterans currently residing in the state of Maryland. Good morning.
Good
Ms. Karen.
morning. Good morning.
Is it okay if we start with some background?
Absolutely.
Okay. May I ask where you were born?
I was born in Eupora, Mississippi,
And may I ask the month and the day you were born?
August 17th.
Do you mind sharing what your parents did for a living?
My parents, they were laborers. My mother, she worked for Garens, which is a children's manufacturing company, and my stepfather, he worked for Futorian, which is a wood making factory.
Excellent. And were you raised as only child, or do you have siblings?
I have siblings. I have eight. It's 8 of us.
Wow.
I am the oldest. 2 sisters, 2 brothers on my mother's side, and 2 brothers and a sister on my father's side.
Wow. All of you grew up in the same house?
The ones on my mother's side, we grew up together. I met my siblings on my father's side at his funeral.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you entered the military, you didn't have a hard time sharing anything because you grew up in a house full of siblings?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And you don't come from a military family because you told me your parents' occupation, but any grandparents served or aunts or uncles served?
No, ma'am.
May I ask your fondest memory of childhood?
Oh, wow. Let me see. What is the first thought that comes to mind? I would say that when my father's people realized that I existed, my Uncle William coming to pick me up to introduce me to my father's side of the family.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
What made you want to join the military?
Well, I was a single parent, single mother. I was 19 years old. I worked in those factories that I spoke about earlier.
Okay.
And I did that for about 6 months and realized that that was something I did not want to do.
Okay.
And so the quickest way out for me was to join the military. And so that's what I did.
What did your parents think once you told them you were going to join the military?
Well, my mom, she was not too keen on it at first, but I felt like I had to do something, to better the lives of my daughter and I.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go into your school days? What was your favorite subject?
I would say math and English were my favorite subjects.
Okay. Math and English. What did you like mostly about English? Are you a writer?
I love writing.
Okay.
I love to write.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poetry? Any poetry?
Poetry, just inspiration, life experiences, and how I got from one point to the next, and on that arena.
Any favorite poets or favorite authors?
No, not that comes to mind. Mm-hmm.
And do you have a specific story besides you meeting your other side of the family and your uncle coming to pick you up to meet them about how they received you when they first met you? Did they receive you well? Was it some animosity?
No, actually, it was very welcoming, very warm and welcoming. They were very protective of me, which I was very thrilled about that. I really feel like that I've never experienced that type of love before until I met my father's family.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask your faith?
I am Baptist.
Okay. And did that play a role in you joining the military?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because it was very challenging. You know, it was a huge decision that I made, but it was one that I had to do because, like I said, I wanted a better life for my daughter and I. I left her in the care of my mother while I was away in basic training and AIT. Upon leaving, my cousins, they always told me that my daughter would forget who I was if I left and different things like that. But I was just willing to take that chance because she deserved to have a good life.
And you mentioned basic training. Was that the roughest part of leaving her, or did you face any other challenges in basic training?
Basic training alone was very overwhelming.
I can imagine.
Because I had never traveled outside of Mississippi.
Okay.
And my fondest memory is when they picked us up from the MEP station and took us to our first duty station, which was at that time Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I recall having on civilian clothing, and I had like 3 large suitcases with me. I don't know if I thought I was going to camp or or what the case was, but I was met with a rude awakening because my drill sergeant, he was in my face, and you know, being a Southern lady, you used to gentlemen being gentlemen, and I was expected to get help with my bags, and I did not.
Okay.
So I had to transport all those big 3 bags of luggages to, you know, to the storage and different things like that. But yeah, basic training was very challenging.
Wow. Okay, so not exactly what you expected. But.
No, I think that the concrete and I, we became the best of friends. Because you know, it was a brand new experience for me. It was, well, I want to say, well, I guess I would say that it was nurturing in a way because it was taught me to further my independence. I definitely had to think on my feet. The one thing, well, it was a couple of things, but we'll get to that. It definitely helped build my stamina.
Okay.
When I went in, I weighed 117 pounds. And when I went home for Christmas Exodus, I weighed 142 pounds.
Wow.
Because when you go, you know, when you go eat and things like that, it's like they're like swallowed now, tasted later, that type of deal. So you can really like get to digest it and things. And
always on guard.
Always on guard. Always on guard.
Okay. What's the most appreciative thing now, looking back, that you value about basic training? I know you said independence.
The ultimate sacrifice of sacrificing myself for the will of others.
And what branch of the military did you serve?
I was in the Army.
And can I ask how many years?
20 years and 1 day.
And what made you select the Army?
You know, it's funny that you should say that because I really wanted to join the Air Force, but it was a waiting list for the Air Force. And I was ready to go. And let me see, in recollection of that, I remember that when I enlisted in the Army and the recruiters, because it was the Army, the Air Force, Marine, they took us to lunch. Oh. And I'll never forget this. They took us to lunch. And I'm thinking that, you know, we all here to serve and different things like that. So at the end of the lunch, all of the other branches, they retrieved their recruitees or trainees and took them back to the station. However, my recruiter left me at the restaurant. And I had to walk from the restaurant back to the station, which was like 2 to 3 miles.
Oh, wow. I was just going to ask you. Yeah. You answered my question. How long was that walk?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So that, I was not particularly thrilled about that.
Quite an experience.
But it was a sacrifice that I made because, like I said, I wanted to serve my country as well as provide a better life for my child.
What's your ranking?
Staff Sergeant.
And do you have any specific accomplishments throughout your military career that you are most proud of, like the top 2?
I would say just to be able to retire with 20 years of service, for one, and learning a craft.
And can I ask you what your craft was?
Administration.
Administration.
Yes.
And you had to take tests as well.
I
for
did.
School.
I went to school, went
Okay.
to PLDC. I attended school at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you also have to take tests for rankings as well?
You know, in the beginning of my career, yes, you did have to take tests in order to get promoted and things. But I would say mid career, not so much.
Okay. Do the gentlemen receive female officers well when they are at a higher ranking than the men are? Do they feel a sense of intimidation, do you think, if you're in a higher ranking?
I
men?
would say yes to that question.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. How would you describe the camaraderie and leadership in the military?
Well, it varies. It really varies. My first duty station was Fort Campbell, Kentucky. That was back in '86. I was assigned to the Division of Material Management company, and it dealt with logistics. And again, like I said, I was very new to the military and things, and it really took me a little while to get to take on the sense that, okay, this is real time, because
Right.
you see it on TV and things and whatever, and it just really never dawned on you that this is real life until you actually do, you are in real life.
Right.
I would say, leadership to me is being able to have faith and to trust my leadership is extremely important to me. As a matter of fact, I was stationed in 2 different units at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, because I was faced with an issue that warranted for me to be moved. And so that particular point in my career was very challenging and disruptive.
Did you learn anything valuable from that particular incident when you had to be moved?
Well, I would say when I came in the military, I didn't have anyone to teach me about the military. I was truly green. And there were certain situations that presented itself that I didn't realize that I had the option to not accept, that type of behavior. In basic training, I was raped in basic training. And when I got to my first duty station, I was sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. And then the reason why I was transferred to another unit at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, was as a result of that. It was a staff sergeant who I thought that I felt like that I could trust it and took me under his wings, but he had an alternative motive. And sometimes when he would pick me up from after the work day was done, he would take me to my barracks, but then he would touch me, and it would make me very, very uncomfortable. And you know how you have that sense that okay, this is wrong, but you're not quite sure how to go about it.
Right.
And then the other thing that was challenging for me was that being so young, and my focus was just to be able to maintain so that my baby could have a better life.
Definitely.
And so this went on for months, and it got to the point to where the staff sergeant was insinuating that he wanted me to engage with him and his wife in sexual activities.
Wow.
So I reported it, filed an IG complaint and different things like that, which resulted in me being transferred to the 2nd unit at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So when that happened, I was so sure that that the situation would be better, my experience would be better, but it got worse. Mm-hmm. Because I was met yet with another NCO who took advantage of me as well. This Sergeant First Class would call me in on the weekends and have his way with me. And at one point, it went on for months. I had spoken to my best friend, Jill Brown. We were stationed together there, and I would tell her these things. And so she would like, well, Karen, why don't you just tell somebody and things. Mm-hmm. But the Sergeant First Class who were committing this assault threatened my career. And I didn't want to go back to Mississippi. And I didn't want to fail. And I wanted to set the best example for my baby. So it got to the point to where it was overwhelming. And I remember we were on the range, and this Sergeant First Class, he was my coach. And the range NCO, he saw that I was just shaking, I was just nervous, and I'm operating an M16 with live rounds.
Wow.
And he saw that something was terribly wrong and things. And so I had reached my breaking point, and I just blurted out, "This man is harassing me." And so the range NCO, he came and he literally snatched me out of the foxhole, and then we went back to the command, and then that whole process started. During that time frame, back in the 80s, if you reported something like that, mm-hmm. the victim was always sought as a person that was trying to destroy that person's career versus the assault person taking responsibility for what he did. So that was a very grueling experience for me. And instead of them doing something to initiating punishment, they just shipped him away.
Wow.
They sent me to counseling. They chastised me. They did not allow me to get a promotion. I think that the one thing that saved me from all of that is they moved me, they transferred me to Germany.
Okay. That's so personal. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel like they deal with, even now in the military, with cases like what you went through by just moving people instead of firing or rebuking, the person that caused the incidents? Do you feel like even now that they just move people? They just send you to a different base, or kind of recreate your life over again instead of handling the issue?
I absolutely do, and I think there's still a lot of I'm slapped on the hands, and that's wrong. Don't do that. Don't do that. But I think basically what they're saying is like, okay, if you're going to do that, then don't get caught.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that is why I feel like that if there was a certain program in basic training, because I'm pushing this initiative called If Touch, Do Tell.
Yes.
And what it is, it's an initiative to implement a plan in the red phase of basic training, which will inform the new trainees that this type of behavior is not tolerated.
Yes.
I feel like that just like when they teach us the core values, that they should also teach the new recruits that sexual harassment, rape, assault is not tolerated in the military. I know that there is this program called SHARP, but that program is geared for after the act has been committed.
Okay.
Something needs to be in place in basic training, and that's why I'm trying to push my If Touch, Do Tell initiative.
That's awesome. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Mm-hmm.
They really need to be aware that this type of behavior is not acceptable.
Right.
And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're helping other women now,
I'm
you
trying.
know,
Mm-hmm.
not have to go through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that a lot on the news. And a woman's voice sometimes is pushed to the back because it's almost as if they may have been asking for it or deserved it or
Right.
something like that. And I never understood how a force so powerful as the military could stand for that type of behavior.
Right.
Any wars that you served in, combat?
I was stationed in Germany when Desert Storm hit. That was pretty intense because I had just gotten married, and we were married for 2 weeks before Desert Storm hit.
Oh, wow.
And then he had to be transferred over because he was in the 8th Military Police Attachment, and so they were one of the first ones to go over. Before he left, when we married, we had known each other for about 3 years before we got married. Perfect man, perfect father.
Wow.
We did not have any children together, but he raised my daughter as his own.
Wow.
So, it was very traumatizing for the both of us, because when he returned, he was somebody totally different. I truly believe that that war, or the fact of him going to war, it destroyed our marriage. We really tried to make it work, but it was those Desert Storm demons that he chose not to deal with, because he was the picture perfect of health. He never ate any junk. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. But it was like when he came back and he had all of the symptoms of what they were talking about with the Desert Storm symptoms.
Okay.
He had all of those. But, with most men, they don't want to admit that, they're sick or
Yes.
anything like that. So he never sought help. And as a result of that, it wore on our marriage. And he treated my daughter and I like we were the enemies, like he was fighting us.
Okay. So that mentality came home with him then.
Absolutely.
He was still at war.
Absolutely.
Even this time it was within himself. though.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. There were many instances where we would just be having a general conversation and then he would just black out. So.
Does that shed a new light on post-traumatic stress
Absolutely.
syndrome for you? Because you dealt with that firsthand.
Yes.
So in the same house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you feel like Veteran Affairs could be doing more?
Absolutely. I do. I really feel like that we make the ultimate sacrifice, to ensure that our United States of America is protected and
Yes.
that we are free.
Yes.
And we should not have to come home and be beaten and torn and worn and have to fight for what we have already earned.
Absolutely.
And I just truly believe that the type of energy that we have, that those of us who do choose to serve, that our administration should render that in return. There should not be any homeless veterans, none whatsoever, but learning from my own experience and trying to apply for my benefits and things, it's like you have to wait and you have to fight for so long. Most of us, we reach that point to where, you know what, it's not even worth it.
You just get tired.
It's not even worth it. You just get tired and worn out. And for the longest, I didn't even know that I could even file a claim for PTSD as a result of being raped and sexually assaulted while serving. I didn't know that for years. I did not know that for years.
So the knowledge wasn't, they didn't put that out there?
Absolutely, absolutely. In 2005, 2007, I enrolled myself in this. It was this brand new program called Take Charge, and it was a program designed for women to, I was going to say embrace, but to just kind of get through the whole process.
Okay.
And what that program consisted of is that we had to relive those experiences. And we actually had body forms that was dressed in them in fatigues and different things like that. And we relived it. And as a result of it, it was a 2-year-long process. But I'm so glad that that program existed. I don't know if it still exists. This was in Seattle, Washington when I enrolled in this program. But I would highly recommend that type of program for any woman or man who has been sexually assaulted or raped or harassed in the military, because it really proved to help me. And what I also learned was that as a result of that it affected my relationships. And so by going through this program, it helped me to face it head on and things, and not bring those experiences into my relationships.
In the beginning, I asked your faith affiliation, and you said Baptist.
Yes.
In the news, a lot of controversy, I guess, has come up. I guess persecuted Christians too, that are serving in the military, being harassed. Did you deal with any of that in the military, being harassed for your faith?
No,
No.
I did not.
How do you feel about the natural hair debate that's going on right now? A lot of women say we signed a contract, so we know it can't be this long,
Right.
and we shouldn't have braids, and they're too big to put my hat on. Do you know what you sign up for, or can it be changed?
Yeah.
Do you feel like?
You know, I'm kind of on the fence with that. I understand that we have to maintain a certain type of professional appearance. I get that, but you should still be able to embrace that. Because I'm just thinking about some of the hairstyles, that we have.
A little bizarre?
Some is a little
Yes.
bit over the top,
Yes.
so I can kind of see, where this is going and things. But I think as an individual, you should be knowledgeable to know that, okay. I know that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
There's definitely a difference between freedom of expression
Exactly.
and out of control.
Exactly.
And nowadays, some things are just out of control.
Exactly. Yes, this is true. This is true. Yeah.
And was it hard to readjust to civilian life when you came back home?
I welcomed civilian life. I really did. But what I am finding is that I still have the mindset of a military person, in the civilian world. And I am still dress right, dress type of mindset. And also my practice is all tasks that are given to me in one day, then I'm expected to finish those tasks in one day so I can start fresh the next day. Well, being in the civilian world, it's like, you can calm down. It's okay. You don't have to do everything today. But, after serving for 20 years and things, it's just automatic.
Yeah.
It's definitely automatic.
I know what you mean. Sometimes at work, I'm like, I'll get to that Tuesday, and it's Friday. I'm like, that can wait till Tuesday, but that would eat you up.
Yes, yes, it would. Because my thinking is that tomorrow is never guaranteed to us.
Right.
It's not. And so the way I live my life is I don't like to leave anything undone.
Okay. Serving in the military, I know it's not equivalent to being a servant, but do you have to serve first to be a leader?
Absolutely. I do. And that, being in a family with so many children, you learn how to serve. And so I'm definitely a servant at heart.
Okay.
I'm definitely a servant at heart. But yes, you do have to have that type of spirit, because it's like you are sacrificing yourself.
Yeah. I have a 2 and a 5-year-old, and I'm trying to teach them that they have to serve before they can lead. So I'm always like, we serve first, and then we rise to the top. And just teaching them, they're young, but teaching them about accountability, being held accountable, and that there is a consequence for every action. And definitely want them to walk upright before the Lord. So
Absolutely.
just trying to instill those things into them.
That's good. It's very good.
How did your daughter adjust to you coming back home?
You know, okay, so now you recall I said that when I came home for Christmas Exodus, I was weighing 142 pounds, right?
Yes.
So I remember I was on the bus, on the Greyhound bus coming home for Christmas, and I told my mother, you know, where to pick me up and things. So I get off the bus, and my mother, she walks right past me.
She didn't even recognize.
She didn't recognize me. I was like, Mom. So then when I got home, it was a little heartbreaking because my daughter and my nephew, Kevin, they were there. Let's see. Kelly was, let me see, Kelly was 2. Kelly was 2 and Kevin was 1. And I recall walking in the house and, you know, they kind of looked at, they looked at me. It's like, she kind of looked familiar, but not really. And then I was like, baby, it's me and things. And so she come running to me and things. But, she got used to the military life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does she have any aspirations of ever joining the military?
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay. Absolutely
no.
not. Absolutely not. I really tried to instill that in her, or at least open her up to it.
No.
She didn't want any parts of it.
No. I think I'm with her on that. It's so brave. Thank you so much for serving and keeping us free. And a lot of the things that we take for granted, that we forget about, somebody has fought and made, like you said, made the ultimate sacrifice for us.
It's my pleasure.
Your friendships in the military, like in college, we make lifelong friends. Is it the same way in the military?
It is, absolutely. When I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Jill Brown, she is my best friend to this day. Actually, she's one of my best friends, but she is like the best friend. We've known each other since '87. She's still serving, by the way.
Okay.
She's still serving. She's going to be retiring sometime this year.
Wow.
Which is she's truly earned it. She's definitely earned it.
Yes.
We have the type of friendship that it doesn't matter whether we don't, communicate with each other for days, months. When we do reconnect, it's like I just talked to you yesterday.
Yes.
And my other Army buddy, Tara Lynn Torres, is one of my best friends. As a matter of fact, she's here today with me.
Okay.
And we've known each other since '95. Yes, since '95 and things. And it's just, they're my sisters. They are my true sisters.
That's beautiful. I have 2 friends that I've had since the 2nd grade, and now our kids are friends.
See, that's wonderful.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your life with us. You've had an amazing life, and I know still going strong.
Thank you.
So we thank you for that. Overall, what's your greatest comfort?
My greatest comfort is peace that I have in my life as a result of everything that I have experienced from joining the military up until I retired, even up to today. I was very faith-driven. My Lord and Savior, He kept me.
Yes.
And He's still keeping me.
I'm a witness.
Yep, He's still keeping me. I implore these types of opportunities because I do want to reach out and try to provide insight and inspiration to those who have been in the same position that I have been and who have given up. I want to display that, regardless of what you've gone through, what you've dealt with, all the hardships, all of the aggravations, all of the disruptions that you've had in your life, that as long as you just remain faithful and just keep moving forward, that you'll be fine. And the more you talk about it and talk to other people about it, because you just never know if the person sitting next to you just may need to just hear a word.
Yes.
You just never know what people are experiencing, in their day-to-day lives and things. And so, yes, my comfort is peace, knowing that I have my faith, and that is what has kept me all these years.
That's awesome. You're walking in freedom, and you definitely don't look like what you've been through. You look
Absolutely.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This concludes our interview. I would like to thank you, Staff Sergeant Fierce, for taking your time to share your story. For this Veterans History Project. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. It's
Gotta
my
hug you
pleasure.
once.
Absolutely. Absolutely.